Hello everybody, and welcome back to Make It Simple TV. I am Heather Porter. I'm one of the co-hosts. Now, Make It Simple is the place where my other co-hosts, Andrew McCauley and myself, bring in our inner circle of experts from all over the world to share life and business lessons and to leave you with 3 simple tips that you can implement right now in your life or business. Now, of course, I couldn't do this alone, so I'm joined with the amazing Andrew. Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Hey Heather, how are you? I'm good. Looking forward to today's show. As usual, we have another stellar guest on, and this guy is a crack up. We love love talking to our guest because he's got such an infectious personality, and you and I both met him. We knew him beforehand, but we met him live. He came to our live event at the Fireside Chat in Melbourne, and he got up and spoke and had the crowd in stitches, and he wasn't a comedian, but he's just a funny guy, and I'm looking forward to having a bit of a chat to him today too.
I know, he's absolutely hilarious. His laugh is so contagious, so hopefully we'll get that out of him sometime during our chat. So our guest is named Keith Keller. Now, Keith is a global Twitter marketing expert. He regularly speaks on this topic. He's on teleseminars and webinars and radio shows all over the world. And he has some really interesting stories where he's helped some quite well-known, some might say famous individuals with their tweets. And so we'll hopefully get him to tell a couple stories around that. So anyway, without further ado, I'd love to welcome Keith to the show. Keith, are you there?
Hey, how you doing? It's Melbourne. It's Melbourne time. It's winter here, but summer in the US. And don't we love this global stuff?
I know Andrew's cooking. I'm freezing, and Keith, I bet you're a bit cold as well.
Yeah, you don't move to Melbourne for the weather.
Keith, we want to know, we've known you for a little while. Like Andrew said, you've spoken on one of our stages, and we're doing an amazing project together, which we'll talk about throughout the show. But how did you get involved in Twitter? What's your journey like to get to where you are today?
I think actually that's a really interesting story because it's, social media is such a sort of a prominent thing, and the actual story is that in 2006 I just hit the wall. I had spent 20 years in really, really crappy jobs. A lot of people I know in the entrepreneurial space have this story. We don't want to work 9 to 5. We're sick and tired of being told what to do, what to wear, when to go to the toilet, how long we can have for lunch. So in 2006, the day before Easter, I quit my corporate job, and I've never worked 9 to 5 since. So that's the first step. And then what I did was I went back to uni and I became a career counsellor. I'm quite a good career counsellor, and I did a degree in that, and I've got a business, on the side, Career Journeys Australia. But instead of having, the old-fashioned stuff in the letterbox, advertising the radio and the TV and the local paper, I just did this radio show on Blog Talk Radio, which I really love. I love that format, blogtalkradio.com. And we started to promote the show on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, and we were listened to in 126 countries around the world. And I was getting emails from Peru and Russia and Mexico saying, Keith, first of all, you speak funny, but second of all, you say good stuff. My friends don't talk like this. They're all down and depressing, and everyone in my family is putting me off. But you come across once a week with a show that gives me hope. And I thought, there's something in this online stuff. I mean, I'm in Melbourne, Australia. I never go to the city, except when I speak at your events. And, I just speak all over the world on Skype and on Google Hangouts and teleseminars, and I share my knowledge from the comfort of my, my laptop. I mean, it's my model of the world now. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Sure
it's a good
is.
Model.
You're no stranger to public performances, I guess, because I'm going to ask you a little bit about I'm not sure if this is moonlighting or not, but as well as your corporate job in corporate world, from whenever you started, you also were doing something else on the side. Give us a little bit of rundown, and then we'll talk about how you and I connected in that way too, which is quite funny.
It's very interesting. A lot of my friends are creative souls, and we work 9 to 5 to pay the mortgage. But really, our passion is something else. And I had 2 real major passions. One is, when I first moved to Melbourne, I wanted to be a radio announcer. and I did radio school, and that's why I love podcasting. And I did do some radio on 3RRR. That's a story you probably don't know. I did some gigs on 3RRR, which is an alternative radio station. I did the midnight metal show, when I had long hair. But I also was a muso, and I played bass guitar for a couple of years, and I played keyboards, and I wrote my own stuff. And for about 10 years, I was a muso. And I think we played at some of the same gigs. You might have managed the pub. I did the gigs. And it was just, I think that's an astonishing story to tell, yeah?
Yeah, totally. I think, I got involved in hotels in '89, late '80s. You were playing gigs from mid-'80s. And the places I was managing were some of the places you were playing gigs at. So I'm pretty sure that I looked after you somewhere along the way. And
I would have. Isn't that great? Isn't that amazing? But the idea of moonlighting is an interesting idea because entrepreneurs and people I know personally have an aversion to the 9 to 5. I listened to Laura's great interview last week. Same deal.
Yeah.
Corporate America is fantastic, but there is restrictions. You've got to be at a certain place at a certain time, and they tell you what you can wear and what you can say and what you can eat for lunch and how long you can have for lunch and how long you can go to the toilet. And I don't want to do that anymore. That's my whole story, and that's in my blood. I'm a creative soul in whatever form that takes. Yeah.
So I think we've got a couple of little video clips that we might have to chuck on for Keith on our resource page for people to have a look at him playing in a gig. He sent some of those through to the other day. I thought we might use these for our resources. So if you want to see Keith in action with long hair and playing guitar or keyboards, we'll stick that on the resource page.
I do. I haven't seen it yet. I would love to. I can't wait.
Yeah.
The song's not too bad either.
Look, it was very similar to a band in the 80s called Mr. Big. I don't know if you've heard of a band called Mr. Big, one of those sort of power chorus, metal, glam rock hair bands, and I had the hair. And the hair and the leather pants. I had no talent, but I had the look. There's the mini laugh. I'll rip one out later.
Okay, good.
So, Keith, tell us, you're a Twitter marketing specialist. Why did you concentrate on just Twitter?
Yeah.
Is that the cool thing for you, or is there other platforms you like to use as well?
Yeah. Look, it's a very good question. A couple of reasons. One is when we did the radio show, I tried them all. Google Plus wasn't invented then, but I tried LinkedIn, I tried Facebook, and I tried Twitter because I really wanted the show to get out there. I did it with another guest, Anne-Marie Cross, who's a mutual friend of ours, and we had wholesome information, and I just wanted to share it. So I was trying all three platforms, and Twitter by far had the best result. Just absolutely hands down had the best result. And I thought, I really dig this. I'm proud of the show, and I want to share it with as many people as possible. So I started to get my head around it, and then people started to ask questions. And then I started doing speaking gigs, and this is how it starts, isn't it? You start with a little passion, and then I started to think, well, maybe I should specialize in that, and I don't like LinkedIn that much. I find it a bit boring, and Facebook is changing all the time, and that really annoys me. I mean, it just annoys me. It's changing every second minute, and I can't keep up. But I tell you the quintessential moment. I heard a phrase from Brian Tracy, who said, if you don't want to be in the top 10% of your field, you're in the wrong field. And that just hit me in the head. It just hit me in the head, and I woke up one day and I said, what do I want to be good at? I could try and do all of them, like we're doing the Social 6, and that's hard to keep up with as it is. I could try and do them all, or I could be good at really one of them. So I just decided, I want to be the best in the world at Twitter. That's my thing. Google Plus can wait. Instagram, I never use it. WhatsApp, Snapchat, Slingshot, Empire Avenue. There's one coming out every week, isn't it?
Sure is.
Keith, I love what you just said because, and Andrew, I know you have this as well. Whenever I speak, and I was just doing a gig last week, somebody raised her hand and she said, you've talked about social media, which is great, but Can I just do one? Is it okay to just do one or maybe two? And I think that that is such a key point, Keith, that you just made. In what we say for most people is, like, especially when you're just getting started out with marketing your business using social media, just stick to one. Get good at one or even two, and like you said, don't worry about the rest because there's huge marketplaces already on each of these platforms, as there is.
Well, I want to give you a really cool story that happened yesterday. This happened yesterday. I'm already working on one that's just happening as we speak. I had to jump off from a cool conversation with this French band to jump on this Google Hangout. But yesterday, I was actually tweeting for the National Speakers Association of America, their national conference. NSA 14 is the hashtag. And here I am in Melbourne, Australia, smoozing with the speakers at the NSA conference from the comfort of my laptop. And this is why I love Twitter. I've nailed it. I've worked out how to get it to work for me, so I can chat to Mari Smith and some of the shakers and the movers, some of which I hadn't heard of because Australia's like a million miles away from anything, other than other Aussies. We're so far away from everything. But yesterday I was smoozing. So if I tried to do LinkedIn and Google Plus and YouTube, and I was doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, I'm doing a lot of nothing. I'm operating on 3 cylinders all the time, as opposed to having a really, really good chat with one person on one platform. It's a major shift in your thinking, isn't it?
Certainly is, mate. It's good. So, talking about Twitter, give us one tool or resource that you really can't live without. And don't say Twitter. Give us something else that maybe it's a Twitter add-on or something like that. But what is one tool or resource you really can't live without?
Okay, I want to share this with you. There's a really amazing site called tweetreach.com. It's probably my favourite site in the Twitterverse because the biggest question I get every single day, probably every hour, is, Keith, how do I get more followers? I've got no followers, and it's so embarrassing. I'm supposed to be famous. I'm supposed to be good at what I do, and all my friends look and say I've got 20 followers. They think I'm full of shit, right? So TweetReach is a place, a website that measures how many people are actually seeing your tweets, not how many people are following you. And I want to share this number with you. This is amazing. Yesterday, my very, very, very good friend Sarah Atera, who has had 5 #1 hits, including one co-written with Bryan Adams. I'm so proud to be working with her. So proud that she's now calling me her friend. She spoke at the National Speakers Association conference. That's how I knew about it. Yeah. Now she has 1,500 followers. 1,500, and she's very embarrassed. She's very embarrassed because she's got 1,500 followers. She's just had the #1 song in the UK, and people are thinking, you should have more followers than that, Sarah. What's going on? But by using TweetReach and pulling a few favours, her tweets were viewed by 1.5 million people yesterday.
Wow.
Wow.
So what was the outcome of that? Did her following count increase because of that?
Yeah, it does. Her followers do increase. Of course, people now find out about her, and as a result of that, we got her on this show in Philadelphia, which has 1 million listeners. No, I got her tweeted in London with a woman with 800,000 followers who's works in the radio there. So there's an obsession with trying to get more followers, and I think it's a trap. So much so that people are buying them. You can buy 5,000 followers for $29. That's the current going rate. But what Sarah did was she was actually hanging out with the shakers and the movers, so we played with that, and they retweeted her. She was hanging out with the president of the National Speakers Association and a lifetime Hall of Fame member, and they were just hanging out in the lobby, dancing to one of her songs. And it's all about engagement. It's not about the ego. So, okay, she's only got 1,500 followers, but people in London and Philadelphia, and the actual gig was in Arizona, are now hearing about her when they might not have before. And TweetReach is a free tool, but the way it works is if it measures the last 50 tweets for free, And then if you want a complete report on everything with that hashtag or Twitter handle, it's $20 for a complete report of everyone who's tweeted and the collective reach. So I love Twitter because of the tools. You know, it's useful. You can connect with real people in real time.
So Keith, speaking of tools and everything, what would you say are your top 3 most simple tips for people that are listening to us right now who are thinking about using Twitter in their business or want to improve their Twitter reach? What would you say to them? 3 tips.
One is scheduling. So use something like Buffer or Hootsuite to schedule your tweets on Twitter so that you can have a life. You can walk the dog, you can go to sleep, you can work, you can eat, you can spend time with your daughter. You don't have to be on Twitter all the time on your phone. You know how we all have this thing about being on the phone tweeting, you know? I coined this phrase a tweeto. We have a smoko here, 10 o'clock. People are jumping out at 10 o'clock. They're not smoking anymore. They're grabbing a coffee and sending out a tweet. So if you schedule sites like, I use schedule sites like Buffer and Hootsuite, in conjunction with tweeting live, you're going to really spread your word. You're going to spread your word out, yeah?
Yeah.
The other idea is that I would personally prefer, it's completely your choice, but I would personally prefer that when you're on Twitter, you're on Twitter. Don't schedule your tweets from Facebook and send them everywhere else because it's just a waste of time. Of course, it saves time. Isn't it great? You actually do one Facebook message and you send it to LinkedIn and to Twitter and to Google+. It's just a complete waste of time. Big trap. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Am I on the money or am I a bit excessive?
Agree. No, I completely agree. I actually say to everybody, each platform has different language, and jab right hook, I think it's called by Gary Vaynerchuk. He uses that, like the same thing. People that use Twitter are different from the people that use Facebook, and they use it for different reasons. So I think it's important to respect the platform and use the languaging and the types of things that you post in that space.
Because and the third thing is engagement. It's about this. When you're on Twitter, you're on Twitter, and if you don't have time, just do 1 hour a day or 1 hour every 2 days. But be there and be yourself. I think that's probably social media 101. If you're on Facebook, be on Facebook and chat to people. Be real, be there, and be open to engaging. And engaging is a scary idea because it's time, isn't it? I'm really here, and I've got so many other things I could be doing. But I chatted yesterday to the president of the National Speakers Association one-on-one. How cool is that?
It's very, very cool.
That's what it's about.
I think it's the new currency. You know, engagement is the new currency, and you know, it's what's going to start making a difference for your online reach is how to engage the right people. And as you said, TweetReach is a perfect tool to go and find who are the people that have the ability to propel you further. If you can tap into the right people who have the connections, then your engagement and your connections can go a long way for your business.
I want to share a quote that Mari shared yesterday at NSA. This is amazing. I mean, we should put this on a T-shirt. Content is king, but engagement is the queen, and the queen still rules the house.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's brilliant. Isn't that good?
Yeah, I like that.
You can have lots and lots of content, but you've got to engage. When you meet someone, spend 10 minutes saying hello. I want to give you a story from today. Stories are always great. I think today I have found the coolest French band in the history of the world. I mean, I don't personally know many others, so I'm not comparing them to many others, but the point is I found this really cool French band called, what are they called? I'll put it in the show notes. This just happened 2 minutes ago, 2 minutes before the Google Hangout. They've got 162,000 followers. They followed me today, and their song is so catchy I've been playing it over and over and over again for about an hour and a half. Now, that's engagement. I found this band. I want to help them. And it's about being there for them now. And I think that's what social media is all about. You can get trapped into doing it all in isolation because social media is online. We forget the human connection, don't we?
Yeah.
We do.
Hey,
so back to Back to
Go
your
on,
three
go on.
tips. I just wanted to make sure we have the three solid tips that people can take
Mm.
away. So what was tip one again, Keith?
Tweet reach. Don't get
Yep.
fussed on followers, yeah.
Number two.
Engagement.
I've forgotten.
Engagement. Was it engagement?
Engage. So we've got the idea of scheduling, yes. We've got the idea of scheduling using Buffer, Hootsuite, etc. We've got the idea of engagement, which is about being there in real time. And we've got the idea of tweet reach. Don't get fussed on followers. Yeah, don't get fussed about having lots and lots and lots of followers for your ego, and please don't buy them. You know, have 100 really good quality followers rather than 100,000 purchased followers for something to say at a party. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
I think that's probably the message of the day. It's be real, do one thing well, and focus on what you're good at. I don't like Instagram. I just don't like taking pictures on my phone. I really dislike selfies. So Instagram is a complete waste of time for me. And I haven't taken a single selfie on my phone ever.
I don't think I don't know if I have. I always get other people to take it. Really quickly on that point, I have to share this. So there's this guy here in Australia, a TV personality, Dr. Brown, I think is his name. Chris Brown. He's a veterinarian, and he's on TV all over Australia. He does this Friday night sort of TV show called The Living Room. And he was on there, and they were talking about social media, and they were doing this whole thing about celebrity selfies. And he looked to the camera, and he said, I can't stand people that take selfies. When I'm going to date a girl or I'm interested in a person, I'll actually go to her social media and I'll see if she takes selfies. And if she does, that's it for me. I'm not interested, because he thinks it's a form of being too into yourself, and it's like all about me rather than what you just said, which is engagement.
Mm-hmm.
It's about narcissism, isn't it? That in itself is this is a very good story about Twitter. A lot of people think Twitter is about me. About you, about myself. It's not. It's not about you. It's about sharing information. And we talk about this in the series, this idea of content. I use 10 to 1. I personally use 10 to 1. For every time that I talk about myself, I share this cool band. The band is called The Spins. The actual hashtag is @TheRealSpins. The coolest band possibly in the world at the moment. Definitely the best French band of all time. They've got this really Euro pop sound. They sort of sound like a cross between the Scorpions and ABBA. Imagine ABBA with really hard guitar. It's really cool. It's really cool. They should have won Eurovision last year, maybe. But the point is that it's about engagement. It's about being there real. It's not about, here's me at. I just had a chicken sandwich at the beach, and guess what? Here I am with my good friend Chris Brown, who hates selfies, but I got him in the picture. There's a lot of it's about here's me at, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nothing to do with useful information. We're rambling a bit. It's such an important topic, isn't it?
You're very right, Keith. It is an important topic. We haven't got a lot of time to go, but I do want to ask you a question. You gave us a great quote from Mary Smith from her talk at NSA yesterday or just recently. What is a quote or a mantra that you like to live your life by?
Yeah. Okay, so this is my mantra. This is my reason for being. You are already awesome. My job is to make you world famous. I hang out with awesome people. Some of them are not very well known yet. Yeah? And I just love the idea that my best mate's written a book, or that this band, The Spins, has the coolest song in the world. And maybe you probably haven't heard of them yet till today.
Mm-hmm.
So my job is to get this band to win Eurovision, to get my best friend's book to go to the #1 best-selling list. That's just what I get joy out of. I just get joy out of sharing the love, yeah?
Great.
You are a true connector. Absolutely. So, Keith, what is one major life lesson that you have learned?
Actually, I was thinking about this yesterday. I think joining your group, the Online Master Plan series, has been a life changer for me, a game changer for me, because, I used to be prior to this idea of Twitter, I used to try and do everything. I used to try and write my own blog posts and create my own artwork and fix my own website. And I think what I've learnt from this group is the idea that you can't do everything, and that's okay. I'm bloody good at radio interviews and making people laugh maybe and sharing stuff about Twitter. I can tell you for sure I am really bad at writing blog posts or making YouTube videos or getting my website to look sexy. So rather than pulling my hair out, which you can see I've been doing, rather than pulling my hair out about not making my website good, I'm now getting into this idea of delegating. I know it sounds like a setup, but the point is that you guys have absolutely changed my whole viewpoint on my business. It's just completely changed my viewpoint, which is why I'm so proud to be part of this team. So proud. I'm learning as I go. We're all helping each other out, yeah? And I think that, so the biggest lesson, one lesson, you can't do it all, and that's okay.
Great. Heather, give us a rundown of what Keith's referring to online mastermind series. Give us a rundown.
Yeah. Okay, so we actually started talking about this last week. In last week's episode with Laura Wage, we brought up something that we're all working on now. Laura's involved in it, and Keith is involved in it. It's called the Online Master Plan Series, and the whole vision and mission behind this is to completely get rid of online overwhelm. So it's all about overcoming online overwhelm, and you do that through delegation, and you do that through using all the tools that are available to you in a very smart way. So you get pleasure out of it again, rather than sitting there and thinking about, oh God, I should be doing this, I should be doing this, I should be doing this. So it's an amazing platform that we've all created. There's a few others that we'll be introducing you to soon as well, probably on this show. Actually, Elaine, yes, I remember our very first episode. Remember that?
Going on next week too, actually.
Brilliant. Okay, good.
Yes.
So Elaine, our Google Plus expert, you definitely want to catch her next week as well. She's amazing and has some great tips about Google Plus. So all of us have gotten together. We basically have, we teach tutorials on all the social media platforms and how to take the leads in and convert them into clients through, guess what, engagement. And we also teach you as a business owner, entrepreneur, most importantly, how to delegate all of this. So that's what we're talking about. And guys, we will have the link to that page on our show notes for this episode with Keith Keller. We have his information, we have his links, but we also have the information for Online Master Plan Series. We would love for you to come by and pop your details in so we can continue that conversation with you over there. Andrew, over to you.
Keith, I got one question before we wrap up. If you were to go, just as you're surfing around the net, what is something on a website that turns you off? Like if you go to a website and something is happening, whether it's, I don't know, it could be music that plays automatically or something else. Give me an example of something that you personally think, oh, this website annoys me, I'm going to leave. What would that be?
Yeah, for me, I think it's all about the visuals. So for me, I love clean, easy to operate websites that serve a function. They look good, they're easy to navigate, and they offer a service, they offer value. What I really hate is really, really congested, busy websites that are all about selling and nothing, not about service. Okay, if I've never heard of you before, and I go to a website and you're hitting me in the head with, like the used car salesman, buy the car, I've got to meet my quota, then I've got no reason to engage with you. But what I love about websites is when I go to one that's really clean and offers just one idea and that I can engage with, and then there's a way of. The reason I say that is because I look at a lot of people's sites that I've never seen before. I spend a lot of time on sites that I've seen for the first time. So actually, it's quite a poignant question. I spend a lot of my time actually in that mode. What about you guys? Or am I not allowed to ask questions?
No, you can ask questions. You know, I think it's all about. You're right. It's all about what is a good site these days. And I think the cleaner, the more simpler the site, the better. I think Google obviously had it right when they created their site in the first place. It's extremely minimal, and I think people are coming back to that. There was a lot of stuff chucked on websites, you know, between 2000 and 2010 or 11, and now we're starting to see a lot of clean sites that people can navigate easily, and there's something they value. It's not all about them; it's all about the visitor rather than the actual owner of the website.
And
That's just what I
how it
see.
looks on a mobile, yeah?
Yeah, and of course how it looks on a mobile. H, what about you?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think for a while there we had a lot of ugly design, and it was okay to do that. And I think we're coming back now to clean, good-looking design, and also the whole thing of very quickly, what's in it for me? So if somebody goes to your site, straight away there's a clean message right up at the top. What are they going to get out of being there on that site? What are they going to get? Not what you want to tell them about yourself. So
Excellent.
that's what I think is important.
So, Keith, look, we really appreciate you taking the time today to jump on the call. It's been great chatting with you, and I'm going to go and check out some of those things. I know you mentioned Tweet Reach a number of times, and I've had to play with it, but I think I'm going to dig in a little bit more now and check it out. If you want to find out Keith, you want to see his rockin' band, I think Heather's going to give us the rundown of where you can find that. But Keith, it's been a pleasure. Really appreciate you coming on board today.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm so proud to be part of this team. So you just yell out however I can share the love. It's just brilliant.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Keith, for joining us, and thank you, Andrew. And everybody who has tuned in, please pop on by makeitsimple.tv and come on into our show notes. We'll have great information there about Keith, where you can find out more about him and the Online Master Plan series. And, of course, you can sign up to get updates so you never miss an amazing episode that we do every single week. So, again, makeitsimple.tv. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.